From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure. Talking about Star Wars early in our morning. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Jen, and this is Ken and Jen Morning Live.
Yeah, that's right. Ken and Jen are live. Adjust your beanie, old man. Here we go. Breaking news, Star Wars awash in nostalgia. We're going to take a look here. Jen Landa with us as well. Hey, here we go. We're live, Jen. This is something we're doing a little different. I don't think we're going to do this every week, but we might do it again if you guys make it something worth our while. That sounds like I'm tempting you to give us a lot of money or super chats. Those are always welcome, but I'm not. I'm just saying people are here. This is first reactions. As always, we want to say Joseph is out. He is, I think, on his 12th or 13th day filming and directing his first feature film, Dead Media. You can get updates on his social media. But if you want to still support, as always, go to josephscrimshaw.com and help increase that budget as they head to post-production, where a lot of costs kind of start to rise. But, Jen, how are you doing on this a skeleton crew morning on the West Coast?
A little busy. I had to makeshift a background change, and so I grabbed these vintage sheets, and here we are in my daughter's bedroom, which seems appropriate for a skeleton crew.
I think that's perfect. That this is a series in which the adults play a bigger factor than I think we already realized, and that you're like, get out of here, kid. I'm taking over.
Mommy's taking over with her Star Wars show.
Love it indeed. You're making me giggle in a Palpatine way. So here's how the show's going to work today. Jen and I are going to give our first reactions. I mean, I haven't even made notes yet. Have you made notes, Jen?
No, I just let it wash over me, and it was glorious.
Yes. We're going to give our gut reactions. We're going to talk about some things. It will have spoilers. I'm not saying this is spoiler heavy, but if you haven't watched the shows, I'd rather you go stop and watch the shows and then come back to this later. It'll be released as an audio podcast on our feed and be on the YouTube channel here. Not that I don't want you here participating, but we're just going to talk about things as they come on up here in the conversation. And then we're going to take your questions. You can get your questions all the way through. I'll favorite them. Jen will favorite them, and we can get to them. Super chats, of course, always help. Not needed to join the conversation. But at the end of the show, we're going till about 10:15 our time today. And then I got to take a chihuahua to the vet, Jen.
Yeah. Franny,
Francis,
yeah.
The nudes, the noodle.
Such a cutie.
So, yeah, Jen, let's just dive right in here. We're talking about Skeleton Crew. First 2 episodes are up. We'll do a summary in our deeper dive. Oh, and that's the thing I should say tomorrow. Tomorrow, we will be doing our ForceCenter deep dive. We love doing that. That's our bread and butter. Well, I'll have 4 pages of notes by then. We're going to dive into a lot of things, themes, favorite scenes, favorite costumes, favorite lines, all the things. The deep dive is tomorrow, Jen. But, man, let's get to gut reactions, Jen.
Yeah. So I purposely did not take any notes this first viewing because I just wanted to see what does it feel like. And I had my whole night planned out. I was going to watch it with my kids. We ordered pizza. I promised them ice cream. And then my meeting went long for class and I couldn't watch it with them, which was really a bummer. But I sat down at 10 o'clock at night and I watched it and I was sucked in and I was so happy. I got lost. I know some people were saying pacing was an issue or it was kind of slower in the first episode. I didn't think that at all. I was sucked in. I love it. That's the short answer.
Yeah. I think sometimes there's different ways of looking at that word pacing. I think it definitely has to do with speed and faster, more tense. But it's really about the scenes. Pacing can be... I always give the best example of a great slow-paced scene that does so much is Cersei and Robert Baratheon in season 1 sharing wine, talking about their marriage, holding the realm together. That is one of the slowest scenes. It is one of the fastest scenes in terms of script, emotions, character. That's pacing. Pacing isn't necessarily about ba 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 ba. Pacing is about does everything connect. And I thought these episodes 1 and 2, but particularly 1, I was watching it the second time last night. I may have been watching Monday Night Football as well because I'm a sports nut and a nerd at the same time because it's possible. I was like, this is so well constructed. It's moving so fast. Just the story flowing along and every scene moving us forward. I thought but anyways, I cut you off.
No,
But
no. I mean, the thing is that like with the first episode, I was enjoying just seeing the world and
mhm,
really getting to know these characters and the details in the homes and the
yeah.
obviously the costumes, the homes. Oh, so good. They had the props. One of the props for the cereal, we had one of those. They're like Oxo made by Oxo Tot. And I'm like, oh, I love you, prop people.
Yeah,
But yeah.
my overall reaction too. I want to say, I did sit down roughly around 6 o'clock. I will. I mean, look, I needed the Browns to win last night. They didn't. My Dolphin season's on the brink of destruction, and I was gripped to that. And then I turned it off, Jen. All right, I turned it off, and I focused about 6:05 on Skeleton Crew, and I got to say, I was in. From almost the first frame, which is weird to say because you want to play it out. And I have some things I want to get to. Maybe we'll do in the deep dive tomorrow about. I want this show to really stand on its own, and it's going to be put into this nostalgia bubble, which is not nuanced and it's not a correct take, and it's doing something different, but it's pulling from a lot of things. And I get it, and it's very present. Stranger Things and all Amblin, all the things that we've talked about because the directors and creators and writers and actors have talked about. From this show was pitched as it's Amblin Star Wars, and it is that. Eventually, I hope it moves a little past that and gets to its own feet, so people don't think that's a crutch. But that's for another day. I was pulled in immediately because of the suburbs that have been debated since we heard them. But and I want the opening scene too is great. I want to talk. We'll do the deep dive. The pirate scene, which is essentially the Tana V4 redone. Has its own thing. But once we got to the suburbs, I was in, Jen. The debate went out the window for me. It was a fully realized Star Wars community that is suspicious, and it did a good job pulling me in.
And it did not feel disconnected from the world of Star Wars. I think that was some worry about the Star Wars suburbs, is that they thought that it would be too like our world. It felt very much within the galaxy. And something about the nostalgia that I thought was interesting is I think actually watching Stranger Things episode 1, when I first watched it, to me that felt very winky. Very like winking at, hey guys, this is very 1980s. This did not feel like that at all. This was so earnest and heartfelt and genuine. I didn't feel like there was any sort of winks to nostalgia.
I have a little bit of a theory on that I don't know. This is not fact. The Duffer Brothers didn't grow up during that time.
Oh yeah,
The Duffer Brothers were putting a series. Now, the writing staff, the directors, yes. But the Duffer Brothers didn't live that. They didn't live the satanic panic like you and I did. They didn't live the don't touch D&D or you're going to hell. And I think a lot of it did come off, and I love Stranger Things. This isn't a criticism.
Me too.
I'm David Harbour's character in real life. But I think that had that feel. What this was more fully realized. There's fun Star Wars stuff. The holiday special Circus, which we knew was going to be in the show, shows up. It was great. But I think it was. I keep saying fully realized because I don't have my notes, Jen. It was a fully realized suburb.
What a great point about that with the Duffer Brothers. I didn't realize that. There is something about when you've lived in that era. I mean, there just were certain shots. There were so many nods to Pirates of the Caribbean. Like at least I felt. I mean, certainly the one scene where they're in the cell, and I maybe because I just went to Disneyland like not that long ago, and it was just like the way it was shot, and immediately I heard somebody whistling. I'm like, am I on a boat? Am I on Pirates?
I would have liked a shaky jailer and a dog trying to get it. But even, with the space rat, which I actually love the space rats. I thought that was good. I do want to talk a little bit about that opening scene. We got the pirates. We got the proto crawl. Shout out to we had some listeners yesterday when I did the vertical live asking crawl or proto crawl as we're calling it around here, and they went with what we're calling the proto crawl, which was taken from Willow, used in Solo, and I think now Ahsoka. I like this, Jen. You need to set the tone, but you don't want to give too many details. Crawls are part of Star Wars. I liked the 3 sentences setting us up. You?
Oh, I thought it was right for especially younger fans because I was already thinking, I'm like, how am I going to explain this to my 5-year-old? My 9-year-old would get it. It was just the right amount of sophisticated language, but shorter so that you don't have to be like, wait, what was that? It's going by. Come back.
It's what I need when I'm having my microwave burrito watching a show. Like, okay, Empire's dead. Okay, Republic. Yeah, okay, here we go.
Right.
And then the use of pirates, which we know is going to be key. It's all the way through this. We got SM33, SME as it is. We got the pirate bar, which is, I mean, I can't wait to talk more detail about that, Jen, with you, about your love of creature design and all that stuff. But the opening scene, which was a clear callback to the Tantive 4 blockade runner opening of New Hope, down to even some of the same lines. And that could maybe buff, that can knock you out, can bump you out. It pulled me in of saying, for me, there's a thematic element of what was going on then with the empire, the government being the thing that's taking apart ships. We know it was the rebellion. We know that. But now you have the same kind of thing going on, and pirates even saying the same line. It's almost, this is a consular ship. If this is a consular ship, then where's the ambassador? Like, now you got a pirate saying it about credits and this and that. But it's just showing you that this is kind of the world that's going on. We're in this kind of circle repeat kind of violence thing, and beneath it all is this really safe, too safe kind of world. But how did you feel about the opening scene?
It's interesting because that was the only scene where I was not so sure about it. Only because I think I was so focused on how I was surprised by somebody getting shot in the face. Or laser shot.
It was just an eye removal, Jen. It was just an eye removal.
It was just a little bit more violent than I thought for my 5-year-old, right? I literally turned to my husband, and he's like working, and I'm like, I don't know if Alea can watch this because I didn't know if this was setting the tone. But I actually think it was smart. Because there are older fans that are watching this, and like you're mentioning, like this is accurate to what would be happening at this time period, and it fits. And I'm like, ooh, this is kind of edgy. And then we settled into the Star Wars suburbs. I'm like, all right, I think I'll just skip past this part when I show them, and we'll just get right into the Star Wars suburbs.
Look, I think it's valuable to have Jen's Star Wars parent guide. I think that's part of our ratings going forward for this series. Is what are the skippable scenes for young kids? What's a close call? We don't want kids to be traumatized too early. I mean, I was traumatized by Rancor at 7, but that was my existence. So
right, Goonies traumatized me, so that's why when they kept saying this Goonies and Star Wars, I'm like, oh no, I don't. That was not a good movie for me as a kid.
Is there some value? I guess you'll know once you sit down with your kids and other folks and parents in the chat. I'd love to hear from this too if your kids have watched it, if they're young, like maybe 10 or younger. And I know there's a difference between 5 and 9 and that kind of stuff, but like. The finding of a skeleton, the Stand By Me finding a dead body, just that kind of the kids on bikes in forests kind of trope, I think leads to this kind of magical mystery thing, because I don't know if kids today experience it as much as we do, but Jen, you and I sometimes were dropped off at a forest with a friend and some bikes and told to come back by dinner. Sometimes it worked out. This is kind of the adventure that we would seek. And I love that the show tapped into that early on.
I think that's what's going to be exciting for my kids to watch, because we live in Los Angeles and they cannot go and freely ride their bikes and be off like you're saying, and come home at dinner time like we got to. And I'm sure that other children in other parts of the country are able to do that, walk to the store, not worry about things.
Maybe.
So, but there is something cathartic about seeing these kids having freedom, but not really. And that was what I thought was really interesting, how frightening these security droids were and how they kept showing up. And I'm like, something is amiss. I don't know if it's like, I'm not quite sure how much danger everyone is in, but something is not right, clearly.
Let's talk a little bit about it. We'll have our wild speculations, I think, in episodes tomorrow. But yeah, at Atten, which I still love the name. I still want to know about it. But yeah, there's this mystery. We got kind of the overall, it's this, cursed, forgotten, lost treasure planet, which is wonderful. But the overall vibe, I keep going back to this, and I hate to hammer it, but this is kind of Burbank again. And I live in Burbank. I love Burbank. It is probably the quintessential suburban town. It's almost too perfect. It's got a little bit of the Hot Fuzz Greater Good vibe. It has a dark history as a sundown town. And it was built up after the war. I mean, around the time my house where I live right now was moved here to Burbank in 1944. They built this city, this suburb, and Tim Burton attacks Burbank. I love it, but Tim Burton attacks Burbank all the time because he grew up here. Edward Scissorhands, it is Burbank. There's shots in here that if you've ever been to the ET house, which is not in Burbank, it's a little far away from here. They're recreating in a lot of ways the ET house, but that's the same look. These are the same hills. And I love using the suburbs as this place to grow up, become who you're supposed to be, but something ain't right. and
Right.
something's underneath it all here. And I thought, in terms of just a fun mystery, it works, but in terms thematic, it's exploding with themes there. So, Jen, come to Burbank. What do you feel about Space Burbank?
I love Space Burbank, and I love Burbank. Every time I go there, I'm like, this is a great quality of life to be here, and there's so many wonderful things.
There's a lot of times you look around, you're like, where are they taking the problems?
Oh, right. Space Burbank, what I thought was interesting, like I love seeing the neighbors and the neighbor with the dog and Molly, good morning, Molly. I love that, right? Like getting to see kind of like who are they living around. But I was surprised by the mother, Farah. She was not as kind as I thought. I don't know what I was picturing, but she clearly is tough. And she's busy. She's a busy person. And like, what is her role? Like, why is, she does not seem, I don't want to say she's not likable, but something's going on.
And Molly's saying Wynn's cul-de-sac was exactly like Elliot's and E.T. If you all ever come out to L.A., you got to look up my friend Paul Preston from the Movie Guys, Adam Witt and Paul Preston, the Movie Guys. Paul runs movie locations tours. And I've been in LA 25 years. I took his tour last year for fun, and he took me to places I couldn't believe were so close to me. Couldn't believe it. And we went up to the ET house. And Molly's not wrong. It's what they're doing. And I absolutely love that there. But to the thing about the adults, I think there's so much at play here in this planet that is about finding your place. And there's some great humor I wanted to be an analyst, loved all that stuff. And by the way, not everyone can be a dreamer and a stand-up comic and an actor. In fact, we suggest maybe you don't do that.
Yeah, highly don't do that.
when we talk about pursuing your dreams and adventure and breaking out of the suburbs, I think I use that, Jen, in general terms of just finding your place and finding your purpose. It's such a big Star Wars story. But you have these parents I put on Blue Sky. I quoted one of my favorite scenes from the movie Up in the Air, 2009's Up in the Air. You got Ryan being George Clooney's character firing J.K. Simmons. Ryan's job is to go fire everyone during a tough economic time. And J.K. Simmons with kids and a pension and everything is losing his job. And there's this great moment that's harder in real life. But like, what was the first amount of money they gave you that caused you to give up on your dreams? $27,000 a year. He knows the answer right away. And, well, what are you going to do to change that type of life? You have a chance. And I think that makes me think of the parents. That all these parents. Now, the planet has something bigger going on. We know that. It's got the barrier. It's got this. It's got it. I also thought of the Shyamalan's The Village. Where it's like, what's going on? What happens when you don't cross the barrier? Anyways, we'll do the deep dive tomorrow, Jen. But I just think there's something in the parents unexpectedly, maybe unknowingly, subconsciously holding back the kids, forcing them to find their place, forcing them to find the parents' view of what the parents have now come to accept as a success or your purpose, which might be something in which they had to give it up to. There's a lot of great stuff with Carrie Condon's Farah in that scene at home of just like, look, you got your place back. I got your chip. You're good. Fall in line with me. Fall in line with what's going on. And I think this series, Jen, is going to be it's the kids, but it's going to be a lot about what I said when I talked about Jude Law's character, maybe having the Force, maybe being a disconnected space wizard or a disconnected dreamer who has let this world beat him down, trap him down. And it's about rediscovering that magic in the adults as well as the kids as they find it for the first time. And I think that's kind of at play and a lot of it at home with Farah.
Yeah. So well said. I mean, it's interesting because both parents I felt very relatable, but also unlikable from the kids' perspective. And I could see how the kids would be very frustrated by their parents. The bedtime story thing. Oh my gosh, that was really, really good because there is a point, like for my daughter who's 9, it's like, you're like, no, you should be reading on your own. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what everyone says. But you know what? Sometimes your kid does just want to be comforted and have that special connection with you. But you got a million things to do. You got dishes to do and homework to do as a parent.
Yeah.
You don't have time to read them the story. So that was such a beautiful moment. I'm sure we're going to see a great arc with Wim's dad where he'll come around.
Yeah, that scene with the "Aren't you a little too old for bedtime stories," combined with him seeing his reflection in the window on the ship and him just going, "Grow up." I love that moment. I think there was some great depth there, and we all faced that as well. And what I love about this show so far, Jen, 2 episodes in, is it's not subtle in its themes, and I think that can create a little bit of a I know what they're doing, therefore it feels like you get it. I think it's going to go to surprising places, but and that's kind of what I mean when I'm like, eventually I want this adventure to stand on its own, so there isn't a lot of, oh, I get it, that's Burbank, oh, that's this, oh, that's that. I think that's going to be all the way through, but I think people are going to get lost and stop at the surface of that, where I want the show to do its own thing, and I think it will do its own thing. But these first 2 episodes, I think it did exactly what I wanted it to do in setting up these 4 kids unaware that they're already on their adventure of life. It's begun. I think it's fun.
That's so true.
Yeah, Osvetnik says, I felt you're too old for that in my soul. In a few minutes here, we're going to start taking questions. So if you got questions, I'm starring them as I go. If you got super chats, that helps as well. Jen and I are here for a short time today as, quite frankly, the release schedule change messed up everything for ForceCenter. Won't you think of the podcasters, Uncle Bob? Won't you think of the podcasters? And by the way, I don't know what we're going to do on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. We're not reviewing the shows the next day, so I'm not doing a Christmas morning ForceCenter, so we'll see.
No, I got magic to create.
You got your own magic.
Elf is back in business, I guess. I don't know. My daughter is like into it now. I'm like, shoot, I got to move that elf every day.
Can you do like Babu Frick on the shelf? Salacious B. Crumb on the shelf?
Furby on the shelf who does occasionally turn on randomly. That is weird.
Yeah.
But Grandpa Ken.
But Grandpa Ken, what about us children? Some favorite moments. Amaranth says, not even a vertical live. All right, maybe a vertical live. All right. Before we start diving into questions, the time we have left here, Jen, favorite characters, moments, and let's be honest, we're here to talk about Neil.
Oh my gosh. I was just about to go to Neil. Neil in the bath, in his little bubble bath. His
Of course Neil is a bath taker. It's the greatest thing in the world.
It's just like, and the way that the character moves, the actor, and like his expression and his eyes, and just like how he's so dorky in the best way, like, and he has like this wonderful relationship, like that's so perfect with his family, and they all welcome him. They're like, Neil.
He's got the twin brothers watching the circus. I loved everything about Neil. Robert Timothy Smith is Neil. He's doing the Lord's work, and a great team behind him, and John Knoll, the visual effects supervisor. Shout out to them. This is, Jen, I got to be honest, like connecting this to Jar Jar Binks, connecting this to Ahmed Best, breaking barriers with the team that created Jar Jar with him. They find this character. It goes through the history that we know, goes through the dark times. But Gollum gets all the praise, and Andy Serkis gets a lot of praise, as he should. But I go back to Star Wars going, let's do this with Ahmed Best. Let's do this with Jar Jar Binks. And now we have Neil 25 years later. And this is a home run. There's no doubts about the character. There's no questions. They've perfected the art of digital motion capture characters. So thanks, Ahmed. Because of Ahmed, we have Neil.
It is so perfect, and it's perfect because they fill the world, the Star Wars suburb, with other aliens very prominently. And it creates this really magical feel that, again, I can't wait to show my kids. Really, really well done. I thought that the relationships between all the kids was very touching and authentic. I thought the dialogue was really well written. It captured how kids talk and how they kind of have their own language with like the claimsies thing. My gosh.
Mark Canope, like claimsies. It stands, or whatever the line is. I got to write it down. Where Neil's just like, claimsies. It holds up. It holds up in court of law. Like, what do you want from me?
That's so kid. It's such a kid thing, and how she's like calls them the boys,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's just so funny. It just I can see the fourth graders that I get to hang around that's them. That's the way that they are.
Yeah, I think this show's gonna go as far as the kids will take it, and I gotta say it's perfect casting. We got
Mhm.
interesting things. We got growth coming with all the characters. I think for me the leads are Wim and Fern,
Mm.
and I think they're great, and I think I love everything about it. And again, I think we're doing such a good job of setting them up in a this is who they are, and we get a lot of it. The text is not subtext at this point. We get that Fern is really a commanding presence, but also is lying to create these stories and to find her place. And it's not
Mm.
unlike to me. There's been a lot of connection in the director saying, she's a Leia character. I see that 100%, but absolutely a ton of Han in there going to solo a Star Wars story of that's Han forming this character of who he thinks he needs to be to survive in this world
Mm.
and who he needs to be. And I think there's a lot of that in Fern, and it's fun with her lies and everything. But you got the KB stuff with her. Yeah, you're a little too mean. Wim is somewhat aggressive. He's got this energy. He's chaotic. He's like, I think he should be in trouble for being late to school. Like, that's on you, kid. But paired with his own Samwise Gamgee, or paired with his own Millhouse, I saw used. Everything's coming up Neil. I
Yeah.
love the relationships, Jen.
Yeah, you know who I forget the child actor's name who plays Wim. The really, and I hate to say this, but the whole show kind of hinged on him. If he
Hmm.
was not believable, the show would not be, in my opinion, the success that it is. He
Hmm.
grounds that show. He is so good, and then together as an ensemble, they're all so strong. These kids are fantastic.
Yeah,
It's tough to cast kids.
Ravi Cabot Conyers. We got Ryan Kiera Armstrong as Fern. Kiriana. God, these are young millennial names, young millennial parent names.
No
Kirana
Jennifer's
Cratter.
there.
Yeah, no Jennifers or Kenneths. Robert Timothy Smith. There's a solid name. Bob Timothy Smith. Robert Timothy Smith. And we're going to spend a lot of time with, and I agree with you. There's some wonderful performances. 2 episodes in, 2 directors, John Watson, David Lowery. I'm going to say this carefully and cautiously and respectfully. When you have directors and showrunners working in concert and the tone matches from every actor and every scene, things flow a lot better and they work a lot better. And 2 episodes in, we're all on the same page. The tone is the same. That's directing. You don't want to leave actors out on what show are they in? What is that person doing? One of the keys to acting is your energy is not just a foot in front of you, it's a foot behind the camera. And you feel it with a lot of these performances here, and including Neil. His energy is 3 feet behind the camera. It's so good. So I've really enjoyed this, and I love just looser dialogue to reflect more authentic interactions, is what I'll say.
Agreed. Agreed. No stilted dialogue there. And I didn't even realize that David Lowery directed the second episode. It felt so seamless. And then at the end,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, it was a different director. Wow.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, and Jay, I'm with Jay from Nowhere. As a grumpy old who can be quickly taken out of the world when child actors are not great, I felt everyone in the show nailed it. 100%, 100%. And look, a lot of that. You, Jen, you know more than me. You've been on more sets than me. It's not necessarily the actor's fault when
No.
the tone is off and the direction is sparse. And I think it was so. Again, 2 episodes in, we'll see where it goes. All right, I do want to get to questions, Jen, but I wanted to
Yeah.
pitch something to you first because we're going deep tomorrow. The pirate bar. Holy
Oh.
moly. Shiver me timbers. This was one of my favorite things in Star Wars in the last few years. It was so fun, so good. And, we got, at one point, it reminded me of it was Sweetums chasing Kermit and Fosse, Hollywood. You got the big monster chasing them. You got the
Yes.
soup, everything about it. Wonderful. What did you think?
Sweetums, that's what it was. I was like, this is such a Muppets thing because you could hear that like thud, thud, thud when the character was running after them.
Hollywood.
Oh, I love that. That was necessary because there were some parts where I'm like, this is actually I would not want to go there. And then I loved how they had the oh gosh, what is the alien species? They have an alien in the Jabba's she's one of the dancers. You know,
The Thelans. Yeah,
Thelans. That's it.
Thelans.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I don't know if she was supposed to be a stripper. blank worker. You know, I mean, look, I don't. Was it a brothel? I don't know what it was. A club?
You know what it was? To me, it was like, if you walk in there, it's going to be like the opening from Andor. There's going to be 2 Corpo Authority officers in there asking questions. Get out of there, kids. Get out of there, kids.
But I thought it was vague enough where I'm like, okay, good. I don't have to explain this one. Which she's just a lady outside a door.
Hey, look, kids got to learn at some point. You know, I probably watched Pretty Woman when I was at the wrong age.
Oh, right.
The kids are just asking for directions. They want to get to the Beverly Regent Wilshire Hotel.
Oh my God.
But yeah, but that was part of the lived-in world. So there's a little bit of that danger behind the door and things that are above your pay grade as a kid behind the door.
Exactly. But that was just really fun. The pirate vibes are strong in this show, but it works, and Vane worked. I don't know why, you know, and his what is that other wolf species? Oh, I'll have to write all my notes out.
Yeah, who's the lead here? He's our Vader. You know, I think they positioned him in a lot of ways as our Vader once he takes over his boss's role there. And I love that there. All right, getting to questions. One thing I will say, too, my final point here, Jen, is Mick Giacchino.
Oh, yeah.
That score was perfect. I absolutely loved it, and I think I see a lot of people talking about it. I've been around Mick a lot. He's a sweetheart, number one. He's deserving of all this praise, and he's mother bleeping talented, because with Penguin in this, I thought this was pitch perfect. Wow. I thought this was pitch perfect. This had beyond just a Williams. It was not just Williams-like. It was Star Wars-like. It was all those things, but it was fantastical. It was whimsical. It was frightening. It was perfection for me at this point. I really want to highlight the music, and I usually am sometimes late to the music game. I'm like, oh, there was a score. Like, that's been my movie existence my entire life, unless it's Last of the Mohicans or Glory. I'm like, was there a score in this one? This pulled me in right away. You?
Oh. We got to talk about the music tomorrow, but I mean, there were the themes were so good. The music was so good that I want to go back just to watch it, because he layered in so many other themes and like nods to things. It's just, it's fun. That's what makes Star Wars fun, is to dive into those details.
There you go. Let's get to some questions. Our deep dive will be here tomorrow, not live. We're going to put it out there again. Joseph Scrimshaw is going to join us in our second episode of the Skeleton Crew Report. He is finishing the production of his first feature film, Dead Media. Go to josephscrimshaw.com to get more information on how to support that and increase the budget as they head to post-production. We're looking forward to Joseph's wonderful insights. I cannot wait to have Joseph just pull us in and give us a professorial talk on the themes in this episode. We'll try to make do tomorrow ourselves, but we're going to talk about a lot of fun things. But let's get to some questions, Jim. We got Will Dixon. Let's get down to the big questions. Does Wim eat the same cereal brand as Cyril Karn? Yes. Yes. I think this is the connection between Andor and Skeleton Crew. It's the cereal.
It's this. I noticed that detail, and they were big chunks, because there's like those Cocoa Crisp, or like those Cocoa. What are they called? They're like Panda Puffs, but they're chocolate. I don't know if those would dissolve in the space milk. They're big chunks.
Big chunks. Yeah, but you want a cereal that holds its integrity. You don't want a mushy cereal when you don't finish it in 2 bites. All right. We got JMB says, any chance we can get Ken with this turtleneck sweater, corncob pipe, and an eye patch? Thanks for last. You guys are awesome. No. Number one, what? I don't have a turtleneck. I don't have a corncob pipe. I can get an eye patch. You want an eye patch? You want a toe? I'll get you a toe. But I don't own a turtleneck sweater.
For the private live stream, we go pirate.
Maybe indeed. Todd Roy says, no skippable scenes. Let kids learn life is scary from movies the way it did in the 80s. Not a question so much as a comment I enjoyed. Jen, we're going to have to do you have to sit your kids down tonight. There's just no way around it. We're going to have to get the report tomorrow.
I know. I'll get something out of them. I got to get something out of them.
Eli at Star Wars and Galaxy asked the elephant in the room question. What do you both think is really happening at Atten? We'll dive in tomorrow for sure, Jen, but surface level streams?
It's
ideas in this stream?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing for me because I'm like the Republic are the good people, right? Right. So what is going on? And just I don't like the language, like the great. What do they call it? Not the greater good. They call
The
it great
great,
work.
the great work, which is the connection to the High Republic, Lena
Yeah.
So's great works and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, here's my thought. This is why I brought up the village thing here. I think this is an old Republic connection. That's why you got those credits and everything. I do think this
Oh.
is the proto crawl is talking about the Empire falling and the New Republic trying to deal with order in the galaxy. And I think that's going to come into play because I think the pirates are in our time. But I think these kids have been locked away. There's a little bit of
Mm.
that fear. There's a little bit of I've never been this far from the Shire vibe of them keeping to themselves and the barrier and everything about it. I think we've seen this kind of stuff before. I think it works really well to connect to the themes. But I think Ad-Atten is a relic from the past in a lot of ways, kept there by the powers that be. And that when you're talking about the Republic, you're talking about the old Republic, not the new.
Mm. Ooh, okay. All right. Oh, I'll have
Yeah.
to make some notes.
But I have no extra insights. I usually just wait for Alex Damon to put a theory out there. Then I just like at a betting table in Vegas. I just slide my chips on the same, you know.
Me too. I'll double down on that. Is that what they say?
Yeah, double down. Nick says my 6-year-old was like, "Did the pirates kill everyone?" I was like, "No, they're nah. Don't worry about it." So there you go, Jen. You have your playbook for tomorrow.
No, they're just asleep.
A couple more questions here. I have Star, then I'll pull some from live chat. Jen, if you see anything you like, start, and we'll grab it as well. JMB with a comment, if something happens to Neil, again, JMB, thanks for these super chats. If something happens to Neil, I will burn down worlds. It'll be my villainy Sith origin story. What Vader and Kylo did will look like a backyard barbecue. I agree. But JMB does have a question here. Okay, so a few of us were going back and forth in the chat if the space milk was green or blue. So please, Jen and Ken, in the morning, settle the dispute for us all. Was that blue milk, green milk, gray milk? I thought I saw it more gray.
I thought it was actually green and blue mixed together, which I've seen my kids do, where it turns like this weird puce color, and it does not look
Puce.
drinkable. It looks disgusting.
Kids, you finish your puce milk.
And it looked chunky, didn't it? Didn't it kind of look thicker? I'm like, I don't want to be having that.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Annie K's Terrace is great. I'm with Annie K. I never doubt Annie K. Molly says this. We've got some solid theories since Alex translated the storybook. I feel like there's a bit of a hint in there. Yeah. I didn't even bother texting Alex or Molly. I knew I was going to wake up with a translated Arabesh story from Alex, and Alex delivered. I imagine he was up all night just with like one of those little like magnifying glasses he pulled down and was like, I got it. So I haven't taken a deep dive into what Alex said, but yeah, absolutely. Those stories had a lot to do with probably what's going on, and that's fun. Yeah. Yeah. Molly's like, you knew. Oh, yeah. I know. Any other questions, folks?
Okay.
Let us know. A lot of people debating the colors. Was dark or green? Amaranth says puce is purple brown. Yeah, puce would be, in my eyes. I'm not colorblind or anything, but gray could be purple brown. I saw something in there. SB Cole is on board being an isolated planet. Yeah, no, go for it.
I like Sad Panda said, this show is just what I needed right now. Ironic timing, but was nice to ponder about my childhood and relish the beautiful scenes, droids, creatures, etc. Ugh, so fun. Agreed.
Sad Panda, be a happy panda, because that's a great comment. The pondering childhood thing, I love that the creators have gone out of the way to say, look, this isn't a show for kids. It is a show about kids. But that's that George Lucas 12-year-old thing. It is for 12-year-olds, but don't think that ever stops. And don't think as an adult in your mid-40s, you don't look out the window or look at your own reflection and go, grow up. Or what am I doing? Or feel like the parents trying to justify their analyst job or whatever, which again, to all the analysts out there, we need you.
Yes.
But I think this show's going to be rewarding in that we should be looking at the parents and what they're doing and what they're reacting to the next generation, but also younger versions of themselves and their inner child reconnecting and finding adventure and dreams. I think that's going to be key all the way through. So pondering childhood, sometimes where that comes from. You know, when I get down or I'm really depressed, I do the game of what would 14-year-old Ken think. That he got to do this. He got to be in a ring with Roddy Piper. He got to be on the ground lane stage. He got to go back to your childhood and go, you are pursuing perhaps the things that you dreamed of. You just forgot. And I think this series contains a lot of that energy.
Well, you're going to make me cry. It's 10 in the morning. That's beautiful. I love that.
It's all there. Question from 898 for M, a.k.a. Brady, a.k.a. Kyrie. Which of the kids were you in the 80s?
Oh,
Neil.
No.
Neil.
Oh. Yeah,
I think that's why I like Neil so much. I didn't take baths, and I still don't take baths. Disgusting. But I had the Neil energy, including I like that girl. Don't tell her. Please don't tell her. You?
I was definitely Wim. I was always late to school, oversleeping. I'm not a good test taker. And then I'm sure I had a couple best friends like Neil.
Yeah, 898 for him goes, Neil, same. Yeah. Mark is a Neil. Yeah, I've hugged Mark, and Mark has wonderful, warm Neil energy, and probably takes baths where I don't. CC Russell, we got a couple questions here. We got about 2-3 minutes left in the show. Pop them in there. Any super chats, you can get them in there as well. CC Russell says, any thoughts about Aldani being described as a surferless bog world? Thought that was interesting. Yeah, the Aldani connection to Andor, fun. But I love having that kind of real world vibe, Star Wars real world vibe of this is the galaxy we're in. You?
I thought it was like a little rib at Tony Gilroy going sulfurous bog world. That guy. No, I'm sure it's all in good fun. All in good fun.
Tony Gilroy isn't watching this. Tony Gilroy doesn't watch Star Wars. Don't worry about it.
Can you imagine? He slides into the chat. I heard you.
I heard you talking about Nepo babies. All right, I'll stop because I love Andor. I'm about 2 episodes. I'm 2 episodes from finishing my season 1 rewatch. All right, there we go. I think we're about here. If you got any more questions, I'll look for them here as we start to close. Lord Romo says Fern for me. I could see that. I've played Fortnite with Romo. She's a Fern. Let's go get him. That's. JMB says, oh God, it was probably Wim, not for the main character energy, just for everything Jed mentioned. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, this is important. The Arabesh Star Wars in a Galaxy says the Arabesh says dance bar, which is just vague enough, and I will be saying that to my children.
Sure, but Eli, I can take you to the Candy Cat 2 in Van Nuys. It's a dance bar as well, unless you don't want it to be.
The Candy Cat 2? It's so fun. It's like 60s, 1960s.
Yeah, which, if you've ever been to Candy Cat, the original, you saw the need for 2. All right, so final thought here. Final question to end on here, Jen.
Okay.
Extra cheddar, what do we think about Jod's use of the Force? What do you feel?
I think it's all in the music. I think somebody said it in the chat. The Force theme did not play right away. Or when it did, there was like this little trill happening. And I'll have to analyze the music more. It was like this fluttering sound, which is not menacing or ominous. It's like, magical and curious. So he's got tricks up his sleeve.
Until proven otherwise, and I always hope the shows disprove anything I think or want them to be, I still go with what I had said before, and it touched on in this episode, that I do think he's got some Force. Is he a fallen Jedi, a former Jedi, did he survive Order 66, all those kind of things? I don't know, quite frankly. I mean this sincerely, don't care. I think he's got some Force in him. I think he could have been something. He had a choice. He didn't take it. And this is where he's ended up. And that it's not magnets or tricks. It's what it is. And this is a series about him starting from this point of I'll help you. Yeah, I'll help you. I'll help you get me out of here, to being sincere in his approach and maybe reconnecting with who he is. I think that's part of the themes at play. Until proven otherwise, I love being told I'm wrong by the shows, but that's kind of where I'm going on the Force thing. And I loved it, and I love the music. Again, but it was a home run, the way the Force theme emerged, as you just kind of described in that piece of music.
I was sad that the episode ended, so we'll have to wait till next week.
It did. We're going to end today, but don't you worry. We appreciate a lot of you coming in here, hanging out with us, asking questions, super chats, all those good things. We are going to have our deep dive episode tomorrow. Me and Jen breaking down the show. We'll do the themes. We'll do theories. We'll do favorite costumes, moments, lines. Kneel in a bathtub again, whatever. We'll talk about it. Going to be a lot of fun. Look for that. Drop it on the channel or the podcast feed tomorrow afternoon, local time. Also, I'll be on Triad of the Forces show in the afternoon tomorrow. with Goose and the team talking about Skeleton Crew as well. Looking forward to that. So check out their channel. Subscribe over there on YouTube for them. We're out of here today. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. You can also go to Instagram, ForceCenter Podcast. YouTube, Facebook, ForceCenter Podcast. Here on YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss my vertical lives that pop up at unexpected times and moments. You can get merch at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter or our Fourth Wall shop listed down below. And you can support us at patreon.com/ForceCenter. You can follow me at Ken Napzok or go to my website, kennapzok.com for more. Got a big comedy show in Burbank, in that beautiful suburb of Burbank. January 10th, more information, some familiar faces on that. Jen, where can they find and follow you as we get out of here?
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media sites at Jennifer Landa or TikTok at Jennifer Landa 1138.
That's it. We'll see you next time here. All right. For Neil, for Wim, for Fern, for KB, and all the kids on the Adventures in the Galaxy. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.